Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here. We've got another fun day for you. So we're kind of been in a cozy theme lately. So how about adding some embroidery and making a sweatshirt? Doesn't that sound fun? So pop in, say hi. We are on YouTube and Facebook. We're live in the chat today. And Emily Thompson has a great project for you. You know she always has cute things, easy to do, but things that we really want in our closet. So let's welcome Emily to the party. Emily, how are you?
Hi, I'm so glad to be here today.
Well, we're happy to have you. And I'm very excited for this project because lately the theme has been cozy autumn. Now we're kind of moving more into cozy officially fall.
Yes.
And this is going to be fun. So we're embroidering and we're making a sweatshirt. Two things people love.
Yes. So it is fully turned the corner to chilly fall here. This morning it was 20 degrees when we woke up. So I was very cold putting the trash out because I'm not dressing for winter yet. I'm just still in denial that it's coming. So yes, we are sewing. I'm sewing actually a full set for my daughter, and I've actually, the pants are almost finished. I'll just give you a really quick peek. I thought I would thread the elastic while the letter is embroidering, but just really cute, casual sweatpants with a straight leg. And then we're making a crop sweatshirt that is matching because, of course, matching sweatsuit sets, I don't even know what they're called. What's the official term these days? I see them everywhere, and I think they're so cute. So I had this sweatshirt fleece, and I had a lot of it.
I just lost you for a sec. You're back. We see them everywhere. I would wear those on the plane next week.
Yes. So anyway, I had a lot of this sweatshirt fleece, and I decided that I would make a whole set for Rose. So she's tried on the pants because yesterday I hemmed them. So they look cute, but they do need elastic. She's like, they're too big. And I said, I know, I'm going to put elastic in the waist. It's not finished. But we're going to finish the sweatshirt, and then we're going to just thread the elastic through there so I can finish those up. But I'll just show you real quick what the top is that I'm working on. So this is the front of the sweatshirt, and I'm actually doing some puff embroidery, Rose's request. She wanted some puffy embroidery on it. So that's what this is that you see. This is the puff foam, and I'm trying a new brand because I wasn't really happy with how the last one was tearing off. So hopefully this will be cute. It's going to say loved. So obviously we're going to finish the D right here. And I was piecing, I had done a little test letter, and then I had to work around that to try and use the rest of this up. So that's what we're going to do. I'm also going to place show you how I've already done these 4 letters and how I can just put this 5th letter right on, and the placement will be perfect. I have not taken this project out of the hoop since the last time I worked on it, and that is crucial for us getting the placement perfect as well. So I've saved this design in my machine, and we're just going to be able to pick up where we left off and embroider the last letter. So let's jump into that, and I will, I guess I'll have to turn my camera a little bit so that you can see the embroidery screen. Here.
All right, well, she turns that. Just a reminder, we're live in the chat today, so leave your comments and questions. What's on your sewing table today, and are you going to try this? I love that puffy foam. It looks so good.
Okay, so we're back here, and you can, so it's actually asking me if I want to recall the previous memory, so let's see what it brings up. Oh, nope, so I've worked on something since then. So I was making actually these super cute ornaments that are in the Artspira app. But let's go back to the home screen where I have saved this design in my machine. And you can actually see I saved 2. This one is the one that has the placement exactly where I want it. Okay, so we should be able to just pick right back up with that. And then we're going to, well, let's see. I did change the thread back from my previous project, so that is good to go. We're going to slide the hoop back in. And you can, of course, I'm embroidering on this sweatshirt before I've sewn it, which is much easier than doing it on a completed project. So I've tried to get it all centered and the placement from the neck where I wanted, but I won't know if it's exactly what I want until, of course, we tear it off and reveal that. All right, we're gonna go into the embroidery. And then you can see it actually started with the O, but we're just gonna skip right past to the D. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and skip right to that. We're gonna hit OK, and it's got the little crosshair right here, which is right here, so I can see that it's still lined up horizontally where I want it to, and we're able to go. Now again, the key to picking up your design where you left off is making sure that you have not unhooped your project. Okay, so if you have kept the fabric and the design all in the hoop and not moved that, your machine will pick up and the placement will be exactly as if you had just done this all in one time. So we're gonna lower the presser foot and hopefully stitch this out. I think I have enough bobbin, but we'll double check.
Well, Emily, it's a live show. I'm sure there will not be.
Of course, I mean, I put a new bobbin in this morning, but you never know. So I'll bring this at some point. I'll bring it a little closer so you can see, but right now it's just stitching out the outline. The placement is perfect to where I want it to be. So that is great. And it's stitching the internal structure of kind of the letter, and then it will go over that. Now, I did test, when I first was playing around with Puffy foam, I did test several of the built-in fonts within the machine because they have some wide ones, and I actually thought they'd be really cute. But the fonts specifically for the Puffy foam, the way they end and the way they stitch out their letters, it is different than the built-in designs in this machine. So far I have not found any of the built-ins to produce great Puffy fonts, because when you rip it off, it hasn't been stitched around all the places it needs to tear off correctly. So I did purchase this one, and then I transferred it to my machine via USB, and I used the editing software within here to arrange all the letters as I wanted, make sure there was overlap so that it looks like one solid word. And I actually chose to use all lowercase on this because I wanted it all connected. But the font has uppercase and lowercase letters. And so anyway, I've been really pleased so far with how this is turning out, and hopefully Rose is pleased as well. So while that's stitching out, I'm just going to thread the elastic on these shorts so we can kind of show you two things at once. So I left this opening. Rose also said, there's a hole in my pants. And I said, I know. I left this to thread the elastic.
You're like, yeah, there is.
I said, again, because I need to put elastic into it. That is why we have that there. So this is 2-inch wide elastic, a nice wide elastic waistband that we're putting in. And I cut my casing, I think 4 3/4 inch wide, and then I just sewed a narrow 1/4 inch seam on here, so it should fit nice and tight. I want it snug. I do not want extra fabric around the elastic. And then I probably also will top stitch maybe 1 or maybe 2 lines of top stitching on top with a coordinating color to keep the elastic from sliding and twisting. And it gives a really fun and sporty finish on your elastic, especially wide elastic. I really like to add the top stitching because this is a rib knit, so it's super stretchy. So even if your casing is like slightly too small, I wouldn't make it overly small, but if it's slightly too small, it will just stretch as the elastic goes in. I don't like it having to be really tight fit because then it's just hard to thread through. But if it's a little bit, then it goes. So you can see it looks like a C right now, but now it's going to do the rest of the D, the tall part. And this is how it tears off so nicely. It's because it like finishes the rounded edges of all of those parts. So when I do take the foam off, it just tears really nicely. Like it went all the way around there instead of just ending it on a flap. It actually stitched it out, perforated the foam, which will make it easy to tear off. So I'm sure there's lots of options of fonts out there. I was just, of course, hoping to use some that I already had. But this one has been good for my sort of playing around with the idea. All right.
Those colors, Emily, they match so good. I'm just looking at the embroidery colors and the color of that waistband. This is definitely matchy-matchy, and it looks fantastic.
That's what I was hoping for, and I didn't want this like too bright on the sweatshirt. I wanted it a little bit more muted. So I think it's going to work out really well. At the moment, I actually don't have a huge selection of embroidery thread because I was having terrible time with my thread breaking a few months ago. So I actually got rid of like all of my embroidery thread and started over because I think it was, I don't know if it was too old or what, but so I'm going to go ahead and pin this, and then when this machine is no longer embroidering, I can sew this elastic into a circle, and then we'll be able to finish it. But you can see how it just fits really nicely. I'm not going to pull it to arrange the gathers because I don't want this spot to be pulled inside the casing. But there we have that. It's ready to go. It's going to look great, and it's going to be a cute finish to these straight leg pants. And the patterns I'm using for this project, the sweatpants are my kids' free sweatpants pattern, but I did widen the legs because the original pattern was like a tapered leg with a gathered cuff. And so I did just, when I went down the pattern, just sort of straighten out the leg. And then this is the kids' raglan shirt, which is adapted to be a little bit more of a drop sleeve sweatshirt. So it's wider than the original, and the sleeves are bigger because originally it was just like a fitted raglan t-shirt. And then I've adapted it over the years to be more of like a raglan sweatshirt. So I also have a cuff. Let's talk about the other pieces that we have cut out for the sweatshirt while we're waiting for this to finish.
And while you're doing that, I'm putting the website below. You can see Life So Savory down there.
Yes, perfect.
So make sure that's where you'll find those patterns.
Yes, and I think I'm going to post this whole outfit with pictures of it modeled on Friday. At least that's my plan, with, of course, and the pattern information and all the information for this as well on Friday. So that's my thought. Okay, so I have sleeve cuffs. So of course they're going to be folded in half like this and sewn into the circle. So that's the sleeve cuffs for the sweatshirt. I have the neck band. This is cut, I can't remember if I cut 1.75 or 2 inches. Those are usually about how wide I cut my ribbing. And then I'm also going to add a waist band. And so that's what this is right here, the waistband for the bottom of the sweatshirt. So we have all of that we're going to put in place when this finishes. And I'm just going to pull this. I'm going to move my camera and show you just a little up close while this is stitching out, because it is pretty unique and interesting to watch how it goes. And this, I think it's because it's a foam font anyway, I can't make it go faster. I was trying yesterday because it's actually stitching out pretty slow. But I think just this is set to go a little bit slower because I increased the speed on my machine and it didn't take the hint. So anyway, it's stitching out. It does a good job, but let's just get a little closer look.
All right, while she's moving, I'm just going to bring you up here so you don't get seasick. And again, leave your comments and questions below. You know, don't you love it that the machines are smarter than we are? It knows what it can do.
Totally. It's like, I have this figured out. This is the speed that I can stitch this. So
I love that.
With the base layer, now it's just finishing. It's a really wide satin stitch, which is probably why it's going slow, but it has stitched out the other parts of this really nicely. So I'm pretty excited about this, and hopefully it all tears off well and we can finish. All right, so I'm gonna put this back on the tripod. We'll have this finish up and then we'll be ready to move on to the next steps.
All right, while she brings that back, by the way, all of you, I know quite a few of you purchased the new multi-needle right over there, the 10 needle that brother came out with, the 1060. And guess what? That has built-in Puffy fonts. So go in there. There's quite a few in there. It's a lot of fun. That machine is off right now, but it hasn't been off very much, Emily. I am absolutely, if there's something not embroidering in my machine, my husband will walk in and say, something's wrong. It's really quiet in here.
The noise of the embroidery machine. Absolutely. Yes. It is super handy. And of course, the Puffy fonts are very fun. And I know more and more will probably be built into machines if it stays popular and people are enjoying doing it, because why would you not add that? But yes, when we were in Houston, I did see that in action, and it's super fun to see those Puffy fonts built right in.
It is. Well, yours is embroidering, so I just have to ask, because when you turn your machine on, I'm squirreling on you for a second.
Yes.
It was showing some cool ornaments that you're doing in Artspira.
Yes.
So I'm dying to see these. Is this for an upcoming live show eventually, or are you just having fun?
Well, it wasn't. I was making a video actually for brother for socials. So I was testing out, what I was looking for in Artspira is I was going to make little Christmas tree earrings. Like, you know how there's like, you can make like lace stitched out earrings. That was my thought. But then when I was in Artspira searching around, I found these really cool freestanding lace ornaments. And they stick out so pretty.
Those are adorable. Those could be earrings, bit big, but I like them.
This is a small, so this is like the full size in Artspira right here. And then you can see how this one is a little bit smaller. So this was, I shrunk it down, and this was as much as it shrunk. So I think you would have to be a little smaller to be an earring, but I think they turned out so cute. And there was actually a present. So there were 4, but I ran out of the stabilizer that I like to use for freestanding wash away projects. And so the present one got all like, my daughter was watching it stitch out and she's like, Mom, it was like not stitching well because it ripped through the stabilizer. So anyway, so I got these 3 before I ran out of the stabilizer, and I'll just be buying more because of course I'm doing projects like this all the time. But yes, so I've got a reel that I will be sharing soon with how I did these projects, but you should go check these out. I will say one of these, the star or the tree, I believe is on the free Artspira subscription, so you don't have to pay for it. And then the rest of the 3 were on the like premium, the Artspira Plus. But you could try it out, and if you like it, get all the designs because I think they're amazing.
Those are so cute. Okay, so question, did you use variegated thread or did you use 2 different colors? Because I see red and green.
So it's variegated thread, and I used it on the bobbin, of course, and the top.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So it's, well, here's the bottom of my bobbin, but yeah, so I have the variegated thread. You can see that's how much was left from stitching it out. But I put it in the bobbin, put it in the top, and then yeah, when you dissolve the stabilizer, you get a really cute, and it's, yeah, so I think it's called freestanding lace ornaments. I found it by searching Christmas trees in Artspira because again, I was going to make little earrings, and then I saw this and I'm like, nope, I'm going to make ornaments, and they're so cute. And I'm actually thinking about writing a blog post soon about all the art ornaments I've made using files from Artspira, because I was thinking I have made lots of different kinds of ornaments now, either with scan and cut designs or embroidery designs. And now they have some of these, like, they're just made to be ornaments. So it's getting really fun making ornaments with things from Artspira.
Super fun, super easy. So stay tuned for her blog post and her reel coming up. But I had to ask because those were so cute. All right. I see your embroidery's done. I'll let you go back.
Yes. All right. So here is the finished embroidery. So it came out pretty well. The true test will be, of course, when we pull off the foam, but I'm hoping it rips off really well, which I think it does. So I'm gonna go ahead and tear that off now. I'm just gonna slide this a little bit out of the way. I have to pull the embroidery unit out so it doesn't smash into the wall when it's embroidering. All right, so it's ripping off really easy. So I'm pleased with that.
Oh yeah, look at how that's super easy.
Yep, coming right off. Sometimes I'm just a little tentative because this is on stretch fabric. So I feel like I don't want to stretch out the fabric or, oh my goodness, so cute. All right, so I'm gonna get a little picker tool or a pin or something to get out the internal.
I like it with the foam in there.
It's actually not bad. The color is, when you read about doing puffy foam, it's suggested to use a similar color to your stitches, just in case you do see a bit of the foam through the letters. So this was the closest color I had in the sort of multi-pack that I bought. And there is a little bit coming through. I'll give you a close-up. I think it's because, this was the largest font in the alphabet that I purchased, and then I did enlarge it slightly. So I'm guessing the density got a little bit less dense because of me enlarging it. Let's see. But I think it's
great.
Pretty good.
I think that looks fantastic.
Really nice
I give
too.
you A+. Well, it's more of a heart, but A+.
Okay.
Definitely.
Sweet. I'll take it. So, and then of course I will save like this for other projects. I'll probably cut out this square, but this foam is good to save for scraps. And it's really easy actually to piece because it stitches the placement line. You can actually just do that and then like slide your little bits of foam in there. And I've done that too. All right. So I'm going to take this out of the hoop, set my hoop to the side. And then again, this is tearaway stabilizer, but because this is knit fabric, I just wanted to be a little bit careful and not entirely rush when I'm peeling this away, because I just don't want to distort any of these letters or pull out any of the stitches with the stretch fabric. It is sticking very well to the fuzzy back of the fabric, because of course it's like plush back here. But so I decided when I was hooping this to not actually hoop the fabric. I just used the adhesive stabilizer and stuck it right to the stabilizer. But of course you could just, as long as you're using tearaway, you don't have to use sticky tearaway, because if you are hooping the fabric, you actually don't need it stuck to the fabric. So I'm just going to pick out here the extra little bit of stabilizer. And if it's taking too long, we'll just sew the sweatshirt and I'll pick this out later. But just kind of want to show
Rose
you.
is going to absolutely love that sweatshirt. I can just picture her right now styling and profiling in those cute pants and that sweatshirt.
I really do think she's going to love it. So here's the back. There's a couple, like the inside of the D I'm going to pick out later. But the back looks nice. It's actually pretty soft. I probably won't put a backing on because it didn't have like a lot of starts and stops and a mess. I do have like the iron-on backing that sometimes I put on for softness. So we'll see if she likes this or doesn't like this. I might just leave it. But here's the front. So cute. And
adorable.
Just give you a close-up of the letters. I think it turned out really, really well. And hopefully she loves it. And I think actually the placement is pretty good. Neckline to the sleeves comparatively. I actually started a different one and it was too low. So that's why my foam had a little hole in it and I recut the front, which is thankfully, it's not a huge piece of fabric. So, all right, we're going to sew the sweatshirt and it's actually going to be really fast and easy because this pattern comes together in about 7 minutes. Might be a little bit longer as I'm talking through it. But let me move my camera and we'll get to sewing.
All right, I got you covered. While she's moving, drop your comments and questions below. That is a super cute project. So I'm just curious, leave a comment. Have you tried embroidering with the puffy foam? It's super popular. It's very common in hats, a lot of things like that. I would just love to hear it and see it in the comments. And do you like it? Are you going to try it? I think the first thing I'm going to try, Emily, I'm going to squirrel back to your Artspira projects. That is definitely on my list. Those would be great to put on gift tags, like when you're giving out gifts. I think I'm going to start now because I have a big family.
Yes. Well, actually, Rose saw me stitching that and she's like, can I make these for my friends? I want to, and by make them, she means I stitch them out and she gives them to her friends. But
that's usually how that works. That is usually how that works.
I said, actually, I feel like we should, what did I tell her we should make instead? I had another idea where I thought she could be more involved and now I can't think of what my idea was for her, but anyway.
Hey, she can hit the green button and let it embroider watch.
For sure. And she likes doing it. So, and we have over the years, I've had the kids do lots. They've done like vinyl that we cut out on the scan and cut and we put on like discs or wood pieces. So they have done a lot with it and they love it too. All right, so we have the 2 sleeves. Now this, because it was a t-shirt originally, there actually isn't a difference between the front and the back. So it doesn't really matter right and left on this particular raglan pattern. Now, my women's raglan, other raglans, of course, there is a front and back, but this one, because it was just a flat lay t-shirt, the front and back are the same and it was cut on the fold. So I'm going to begin by simply taking one sleeve, matching the top neckline, put a couple clips in, and then going down to the bottom, putting another clip. And so we're just going to stick the sleeves onto the front of the sweatshirt. And now, of course, we really know this is the front because we put the stitching or the embroidery on there. That's the back piece. All right, so this will be, we're going to sew the 2 fronts on, and then we'll sew one back, and then I'm going to sew the neckline actually while it's still open. All right, so I've got a couple of clips to hold this all in place. On my serger right now, I actually have black threads in the looper, but I did change to light color thread in the needles. And when I sewed the pants, this worked out well. So hopefully it will be what I need now for the shirt. Of course, now because I'm sewing it live, something will, the black will show through or something will not go right, but
let's hope not.
We're gonna hope that it holds out, considering just yesterday I set up the pants just fine and it was all easy peasy sewing through. I'm just stitching with a pretty narrow seam allowance, and you can see there, that's the joined seam. It looks just fine on there. And then on the inside, of course, you can see the black, but the needles are a light color. So it works out with doing that. And that's a lot of times what's really easy on a serger is if you don't have all the colors for all 4 spools, just changing the needles is a really great way to coordinate, especially when I'm just sewing for my own kids and I don't really care as much how the inside looks, as long as it's very functional and going to be what they need. Okay, so now we have the front with 2 sleeves on, again, coming together so quickly. And then I'm going to take, doesn't really matter which side of the sleeve, but we're going to add the back, right sides together to one of the sleeves. So essentially we're making a big circle with angled edges here as the sleeves, and they're the raglan style angle. This raglan is very simple, so it is perfectly straight on the shoulders. There's no curves or any sort of shaping. very basic shape. And what I've done to enlarge it from the fitted t-shirt is to lengthen this shoulder sleeve, which drops the underarm lower and also widens the width of the sweatshirt. So you get a really cute wide crop, and I've cut it a little bit shorter, so it's a little bit more of a crop length, wide crop look. And I know normally the sweatshirt body is much closer to the length of the sleeve, and you can see how that's longer. So it's going to be the little bit shorter look on the sweatshirt, but not too short. It's not going to be showing off skin, just hopefully like meeting nicely in the middle with the edge of the sweatpants. All right, so now I have my neck binding, and I'm going to fold it in half with the right side out. And we're going to stretch and sew it on to the neck line. Now, you've maybe seen me do this before. I really like to do it when it's open like this, especially on kids' clothes, to just keep it simple and quick. But I'm going to get it started so that it's attached. Make sure the needle is down. And then I'm just going to gently stretch as I sew, making sure I'm lining up all 3 layers of fabric. The 3 layers of fabric are 2 of the neck binding and 1 of the shirt. And you want to stretch it about 10%. So you could also, if you're unsure about just sort of randomly stretching, you could measure the neckline, the open neckline, and then you could take 10% to 15% off of that and cut your neck binding, this piece, that right size, so that you know exactly where it's supposed to fit and how it's supposed to fit, rather than me, I didn't measure, I'm just sewing along. So that's a way to get a little bit more exact as you're getting started. And if you're not as confident in your sewing or stretching skills, to just gently stretch. I feel like I've done this hundreds of times, so I kind of know I'm not really pulling it out a ton. We're just getting a gentle stretch, which is going to make it hopefully lay really nicely on that neckline and give us the neckband that we want in a very easy way where I didn't have to pin or clip or really measure anything. So that is my preferred method, just because it is simply so easy. But you can see already how that is laying really nicely along the neckline and is going to look great. Now, the downside of this is that we are going to have a seam right here on this back shoulder. But that's why, of course, I always sew the 2 front shoulders on, so that the seam that we do have is in the back of the neck and not in the front. So when you sew the 4th shoulder, you're going to want to line up the top of this ribbing the best you can, because you're going to see that edge. Now we'll finish it, but you just want to make sure that you've lined it up so that it's not, one side is not taller or shorter than the other. And then we're going to finish sewing down this edge of the shoulder just like before. This one I'm not even clipping because it's just this one going together. The inside of this sweatshirt fleece, I don't know if you can see it, but it's super fuzzy and cozy. I might have to get more of this fabric and make something for myself, because it is so soft. It's like fleecy on the inside. Really a sweatshirt fleece. I feel like sometimes they call it sweatshirt fleece, but the inside isn't that soft.
Oh, you know what? I was looking at that. I just bought a couple bolts of that in black, blue, and pink. I think I know what I'm going to do now.
So
I definitely want the pants.
Yes, I mean, I've been living in sweatshirts as it's starting to cool off, so I think it's definitely my wardrobe of the season. Okay, I am taking the edges of this serger, these tails, and threading them back through the seams so that I can cut them off at this spot here on the top where it's joined on the shoulder, okay? Because if I just cut that, then this can start to unravel from that top. So if I pull it through about 1 inch, then I'm able to just cut the seams and I don't ever have any trouble with it coming out. You can also fold this serger seam allowance over and on your regular sewing machine, stitch down really close there, and that also secures that. And you'll see that sort of technique on some ready-to-wear garments, but I just like to pull it through, and then I do just leave it. Okay, so similarly, for ease, we're gonna do the same thing with the cuffs on the ends of the sleeves. So I'm gonna take the cuff. Now this one I am gonna pre-stretch because I wanna make sure that it fits just right. But we're gonna take this, we're gonna tack it down like I did with the neck, and then I'll pull it out so that I know exactly how far I need to pull it. Okay, so I got my needle set. Now I can see how wide my sleeve is, how wide my cuff is, and I'm gonna go ahead and stretch it to that, and then I can stretch as I'm sewing. This one is a much greater percentage of stretch, okay? It's not an easy stretch. I would say it's a pretty full stretch. But I'm gonna pull that along there, and then take it off, and when we flip it up, then we'll have a nice cuff on the end of the sleeve. And you can do it in a circle, of course. I am fine taking that little extra seam over having to sew this into a circle. So I do it both ways, depends on what I'm making. But 95% of the time for the kids, they get this method. I might, for myself, do the other, sew the cuff in around, but all right, so there's the other cuff. It's looking good. Now our next step is to sew the side seams. So we have the neckline. I have the back is in my hand here. The front has the letters on it. And then I'm holding one sleeve here in my hand. So we're now going to sew from this sleeve cuff right here down to the underarm, which I'm going to put one clip here so that it stays really nicely. Okay. And then we'll sew to the bottom edge here. And it looks like it's all lining up really well. So we're just going to sew that side down. And then after we get the side seam sewn, then our last step is just to put the bottom band on. And that one I will sew in a circle because it's big and it's not really going to be stretched. It's actually just about the same size. I didn't really cinch it in with that bottom band. So again, I'm lining up as best and as closely as I can those two edges of the cuff so that when we see that edge of the seam, it's as close as it can possibly be to a great flat edge. And then sewing down the underarm. Okay. And then finally down the side of the front and back together. Trying to keep the bottom edge lined up as closely as possible. If for some reason you didn't cut it exactly the same, you can always trim the fabric. I would trim the fabric over stretching it because you don't want to distort the shape of the front or the back. So now I'm taking my darning needle again. I'm sticking it through a couple inches of this cuff seam. I'm going to pull the serger end through so that then I can cut it off. And here's how it looks, not too shabby there. All right, and we're gonna do one more on the other side. Of course, I'm wearing black pants and I just looked down and they're covered in white fuzz from the inside of the sweatshirt.
Of course.
It's very fuzzy. I did say that. I'm gonna have to get a lint roller before I go out to my next. All right, so we're sewing down the arm of the second side. lining up that underarm and then making a slight pivot, but also just sort of straightening it out to go under that underarm and sew down to the bottom of the sweatshirt. All right, so now we can turn it right side out and check out, oh, wait, I have to finish this right here on this cuff. Let's do that real quickly. Okay, we're gonna pull it through. I use a blunt end darning needle, and I've had the same one for many, many years. And I would be very sad if I lost this one because it does exactly what I want it to going through there. All right, so we're gonna turn this right side out. Oh, it is looking so cute. All right, so there we have the front, the neckline, the cute little cuffs on the sleeve. You can see how the sleeves are a little bit lower in the under, which gives a little bit bigger, baggier sleeves, and also makes the sweatshirt a little bit wider as that is lengthened out, but it's looking really, really cute. And our last step is to put the bottom band on. So I've cut 2 pieces of fabric, and with right sides together, I'm going to sew the sides so that we have a circle, and then I will be turning it right side out and sewing it to the bottom of the shirt. So one side, I was trying to use up a scrap, or not a scrap, but just like a different part. So I probably could have cut a full width of this, but I don't mind having side seams. And honestly, it's going to make it easier to sew on because we're going to be able to line up the side seams with the side seams of the sweatshirt and make our placement very easy. All right, so on the bottom of the sweatshirt now, we're going to take this and fold it with the wrong sides in. And then I'm going to take this one seam and place it. Sometimes I will place it just slightly off the side, like, I don't know, not even 1/8 of an inch, simply to avoid the bulk of all of those seams on one place. So you won't, unless you looked very, very closely at this side seam, you won't notice that it doesn't match up perfectly, but it just gets a little bit, that redistributes the little bit of the bulk. And now you can see here that I don't really have to stretch. It's pretty much just laid out. So I'm going to put a couple clips in here though, just to keep this in place as we sew around the bottom of this. Okay, stitch there. And here, and let's do one more, actually, yeah, one more here. This is where I say I always wish I had a third hand when I'm stretching and then putting in elastic or cuffs or something, because I really need to stretch and then be able to clip or pin with another hand. All right, so we are ready to sew the band on. Again, same thing, you're keeping 3 pieces of fabric all lined up nicely. This time we don't really have to stretch, but I am just going to be making sure that it's all lined up, that it's laying well. There's just a tiny, ever so slight stretch in the band. Really, really not much. But that is, it must just be an inch, a half an inch to an inch smaller than the bottom of the sweatshirt, which distributed over the whole bottom area is essentially nothing. But we don't want any puckers, or I don't want to sew any wrinkles into it. So we are just making sure that it lays really well, going over those joined edges on the side seams, and then back around to where we started. So a full circle with a tiny bit of overlap, making sure it's nice and flat, and you cut off any bumps like from where you started cutting in. And then you can flip it out. And now we have a really cute finished sweatshirt. Let me pull the camera back just a smidge so that.
Absolutely love it, Emily. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is priceless.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be really cute. And then paired, I mean, this will be cute with anything. She can wear with jeans or any bottoms, but I think with the matching bottoms, it's going to be super cute as well. And just so cozy. So anyway.
I love this. So you're going to post a photo of Rose in this sometime over the next couple of days. So be sure to go to social media. lifesosavory.com. I have it right there below. This is priceless. I absolutely love it. What do you think of this project? I told you it'd be cute. Something we all would want.
Yes. And I think, I mean, the colors are very fall, so very fitting for her to be able to wear over the next, well, she'll wear it all winter probably, but over the next month or so, it's extremely well color coordinated and hopefully just gives her something cozy to wear and as it does start to cool off.
And while you were doing that, I went over to my fabric stash and I found the pink. So I'm going to make this. I think this is going to be super, super, super cute.
Yay! So cute.
I'm not sure what letters I'm going to put on yet though, but I love that.
Yes. Well, I had made myself a sweatshirt last fall that was like reverse applique and it said blessed, and underneath the cutouts were like a really cute quilty fabric. And then I pulled it out this year and there were weird like oil stains or something all over the sweatshirt. So I was really sad that I couldn't wear it again this season because who knows what happened to it. If I put it away with sustain or something got to it in storage. But yes, I love fall sweatshirts. They're so cozy. And there's so many things that you can do to add a little extra to them while you're making them.
I love it. I love it. So again, we've been live in the chat today. So if you have questions for Emily that we haven't answered or you're watching the replay, be sure to drop those in the chat and we will answer those for you. And this is a great project. Brother Sewing and Crafty family, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Emily, I can't wait to see what you come up with next month, but I'm really, I am on those ornaments on Artspira for sure.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. Have a great day. Till next time, happy sewing. Have a great weekend. See you on Tuesday.